Have you ever asked a question so deep that even your teacher didn't know the answer? Picture a skinny, curious boy in Seattle, glasses too big for his face, always thinking, always asking. He wasn't the coolest kid. He wasn't the strongest. But he had something no one else in his class had. A mind that wouldn't quit. A brain that kept wondering, what if we could talk to machines? What if they could learn? What if the world could run on code? That boy became a man who would change how we live, work, learn, and even dream. Today, we dive deep into the life of Bill Gates, not just the billionaire, the tech giant, or the co-founder of Microsoft, but the boy, the builder, the believer. And we promise, by the end of this journey, you'll feel inspired, motivated, and ready to ask your big questions. Because learning English, that's just the start. Your voice matters. Your mind can move the world. Let's begin. Now end part 1. The boy who asked too many questions. Start part 2. Early childhood. Born to think differently. Bill Gates was born on October 28, 1955, in Seattle, Washington. His family? Not poor, but not famous either. His dad was a lawyer, tall, serious, quiet. His mom, a strong woman who believed in leadership and giving back. From a young age, Bill didn't fit in with the other kids. While they played outside, he read encyclopedias. For fun. He wasn't trying to be smart. He was just curious. One day, his teacher caught him reading during recess. Instead of scolding him, she said, "You're going to do something big, aren't you?" He didn't answer, but he smiled. Because even as a child, Bill Gates knew his brain was wired for something different. Part 3. The private school that changed everything. At age 13, Bill's parents enrolled him in Lakeside School, a private school in Seattle, known for its academics. That's where it happened. One day, the school bought a computer terminal. It was huge, no screen, just a keyboard and a printer. Most students ignored it. But Bill, he was fascinated. He spent hours typing code just to make the computer do small tasks, like adding numbers or printing his name. It wasn't easy. Sometimes it didn't work. Sometimes he had to stay after school. But he didn't care. He was falling in love, not with sports, not with popularity, with programming. He said later, "When I was 13, my school got a computer, and I was hooked." Part 4. The meeting that sparked a revolution. Bill and Paul Allen. At Lakeside, Bill met Paul Allen, an older student with a big brain and a quiet attitude. Paul was different too. While Bill was intense and energetic, Paul was calm and methodical. Together, they formed a powerful friendship. A bond built not on parties or sports, but on code. They hacked the school computer. Yes, really. And instead of getting expelled, the school made a deal. Help us improve the system, and you can keep using it. So they did. And in those quiet hours in the computer lab, a dream started forming. A dream that someday, computers wouldn't just be for big companies or governments, but for everyone. Part 5. Dropping out of Harvard, the biggest risk of his life. Bill's intelligence got him into Harvard University, one of the most prestigious schools in the world. But something didn't feel right. He was going to classes, but his heart was still back in that computer lab. Meanwhile, Paul Allen was working on something new, a tiny computer made by a company called Altair. One day, Paul ran into Bill's dorm room holding a magazine. "Bill, look at this, a real personal computer." They made a bold decision. They would write software for that computer, even though they didn't own one yet. It worked. The company loved their program. So Bill dropped out of Harvard to start a business. Some called it crazy. Others called it foolish. But Bill called it a calculated risk. He wasn't chasing grades. He was chasing history. Part 6. The birth of Microsoft, in a tiny office with a giant dream. It was 1975. Most 20-year-olds were thinking about their next job, their next class, maybe their next date. But Bill Gates? He was thinking about the next century. Together with Paul Allen, they started a small company called Microsoft. Micro for microcomputer. Soft for software. Their first office? A tiny room in Albuquerque, New Mexico. No fancy chairs, no air conditioning. Just desks, wires, and one big dream. A computer on every desk, in every home. At the time, that sounded crazy. Computers were huge, expensive machines. Only big companies could afford them. But Bill Gates didn't care what the world thought was possible. He cared about what could be. Part 7. Sleep, Code, Repeat. The obsession that built an empire Bill didn't live like a regular CEO. He didn't care about suits or meetings or vacations. He slept under his desk, woke up, coded, ate a sandwich, and coded again. He once told a friend, "If I wasn't at Microsoft, I'd probably be at my computer, thinking about Microsoft." His passion wasn't fake. It was fire. Microsoft grew fast because Bill demanded excellence. Some called him intense. Some called him difficult. But his vision was clear. Build the best software in the world. And soon, they would. Part 8. Windows, the software that changed everything. In 1985, Microsoft launched Windows. Before Windows, computers were hard to use. You had to type every command. But with Windows, you could point, click, move things with a mouse. For the first time ever, ordinary people could use a computer. It was simple, visual, powerful, and it worked. People loved it. By the 1990s, Windows was everywhere, in homes, schools, and offices. Microsoft wasn't just a company anymore. It was a movement. And Bill Gates? He was now the richest man in the world. But his story was far from over. Part 9. The controversy. The price of power success brings power, and power brings attention. In the late 1990s, the US government sued Microsoft for being too dominant, too powerful, too controlling. They accused Microsoft of unfair business practices, like forcing companies to use their web browser. For the first time, Bill Gates looked tired, frustrated, even angry. But he didn't run. He stood in court, answered questions, faced the music. And even when the world criticized him, he kept learning. He later said, "Success is a lousy teacher. It makes smart people think they can't lose." Bill lost some battles, but he learned to become more than a CEO. He began transforming into something even bigger. Part 10. The Pivot, from software king to global giver. In 2000, Bill Gates stepped down as Microsoft's CEO. People were shocked. Why give up a throne you built? But Bill had a new calling. He and his wife, Melinda, started the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, one of the largest charities in the world. Their mission: eradicate diseases like polio and malaria, provide clean drinking water in poor villages, help children in Africa go to school, support women's rights, education, and technology access in every corner of the world. Bill once changed how we work. Now he wanted to change how we live. This was not a retirement. This was a rebirth. Part 11. A billionaire who reads. Learning beyond money. Most billionaires buy islands. Bill Gates bought books. He reads about 50 books a year. Real books, printed ones, on science, history, poverty, philosophy. Why? Because he believes learning never ends. In one interview, he said, "Reading is still the main way I learn new things and test my understanding." Even with all his success, he stays humble enough to say, "I don't know everything." That's a lesson for all of us. Even when you're good at English, or computers, or life, stay curious. Keep learning. Part 12. Facing failure. Personal and public challenges. Bill Gates' journey hasn't been perfect. In 2021, he and Melinda announced their divorce after 27 years of marriage. It shocked the world. They had built a life, a family, and the world's largest private charity together. But behind the scenes, like anyone else, they had struggles. The media judged him. People criticized. Rumors spread. But Bill didn't respond with anger. He responded with work. He kept showing up to help children in Africa, kept donating millions to fight disease. He once said, "Life is not fair. Get used to it. But keep doing good anyway." Part 13. COVID-19, a voice in the storm. In 2015, Bill Gates gave a talk warning the world, the next big killer isn't war, it's a virus. Few listened. Then came COVID-19. Bill was not a doctor, but he helped fund vaccine research, donated billions, spoke to world leaders. Some believed him, others doubted him. But he stayed focused. Because real leaders don't need to be liked. They need to do what's right, even when it's hard. That's courage. That's purpose. Part 14. Giving it all away. The 99% pledge. Bill Gates signed a promise. He would give away over 99% of his wealth before he dies. Not keep it, not hide it, give it. He even joined Warren Buffett in starting the Giving Pledge, urging other billionaires to donate too. Why? He believes money has no value unless it helps others. He once said, "It's fine to celebrate success, but more important is to learn from failure." And success, for him, isn't just dollars. It's impact. Part 15. Critics, conspiracies, and courage. Not everyone loves Bill Gates. He's been accused of strange things, controlling the world, tracking people, even creating viruses. None of it was true. But instead of fighting hate with hate, Bill responded with facts, with science, with patience. He didn't shout. He didn't hide. He stood firm and kept doing the work, quietly, steadily, with integrity. Because legacy is not what people say online. It's what people feel when their life changes because of your help. Part 16 of 20. Bill the father, teaching his kids to earn it. Bill Gates has 3 children, and guess what? They won't inherit most of his billions. He said, "I want my kids to have the freedom to do anything, but not the pressure to do nothing." He believes in earning success, not just inheriting it. He teaches his children the same values he learned as a boy. Think deeply, work hard, give back. Even at home, he's not just raising kids. He's raising leaders. Part 17. Legacy in action, from code to compassion. Bill Gates didn't just build software. He built a way of thinking. Solve big problems. Ask big questions. Don't wait for permission. Today, people across the globe are healthier, safer, and more connected because of one boy who fell in love with code at 13. His story reminds us, your ideas matter. Even if you're from a small town. Even if you're not rich. Even if your English isn't perfect yet. Part 18. What Bill Gates teaches English learners. Why should an English learner care about Bill Gates? Because he's proof that language is just the start. He didn't succeed because of perfect grammar. He succeeded because of persistence, because of questions, because he believed in learning. English is not just a subject. It's a tool, a key to stories, science, jobs, and change. And you're holding that key now. So ask yourself, what will I build with it? Part 19. Your turn, from viewer to visionary. Now you've heard his story. The boy, the builder, the billionaire who became a bridge between power and purpose. You may be watching this from a farm town, a city bench, or a quiet home. But the truth is, the next Bill Gates could be you. Not someone with the same life, but someone with the same fire. What do you care about? What problem do you see in the world? What question keeps you up at night? That's where your journey begins. Part 20. Change the world, one word at a time. Maybe you're just starting to learn English. Maybe the words feel slow. The grammar feels hard. The confidence feels far away. But remember this. Bill Gates didn't start with power. He started with a question. So ask yours. Use your words, broken or perfect, to build something. Because your voice matters. Your thoughts matter. And one day, your story could be the one that changes someone else's life. From Seattle, to your school, to the world. Let's go build something together. One word at a time.